All right. The Kansas City Royals are back at it. We are in the 2023 offseason now. Post 2023 season where we lost in 6 games in the World Series to the New York Mets. So in this episode, I'm going to start by going over my plan for the offseason. Then we're going to get into actually playing out the offseason. I know I said this pretty much every offseason video, but this is my favorite time of year in the game. It's the most fun for me as a GM. So let's just get into our plans for next year right off the bat. So I like this view better. MJ Melendez, I have every guy on my 40-man up here, so I'm going to kind of go through. Melendez will be back as a starting catcher. Sal Perez, I think we're going to deal him. I've kept him for 2 years. He's got a really expensive contract on a small market team, 3 years left. Well, 2 years on a team option that I'm sure we'd probably decline at that age, but while he did heat up later in the year, we just need better, and he's getting to an age where I'm not expecting improvement, and he's really expensive. So all those things combined, I'm planning on trading him, which I know would send shockwaves through the Royals universe. But here we are. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to deal him. I wanted to deal him right off the bat, and at the suggestion of some of you, my fellow, my assistant GMs who watch and comment, I kept him just because it's the Royals, and you keep Sal Perez around, right? But I don't think it's crazy that the Royals – well, no, the Royals probably wouldn't trade him, but I'm going to, okay? That's just how it is. Darryl Collins will be in the minors. He's a minor leaguer who made it as high as AA last year, but he's on the 40-man to protect from Rule 5 status. So Vinny Pasquantino, Scout still loves him. OSA still likes him. We'll send a scouting report out since he hasn't been scouted in a while. He hasn't done it yet at the major league level for us. He's got an 84 WRC plus across 459 plate appearances. Of course, a lot of that was his rookie year when he actually did start hot and then had a terrible second half, and then he got off to a bad start in 2023. And he's still cheap. I am of the mind of giving him another chance. I think if somebody gets pushed out of the starting lineup this offseason by a major acquisition, I think it's Vinny. But as of now, I could see a situation. Sorry, I'm just checking something that popped up real quick on another screen. I'm not going to edit this out either. You can be sure of that. So I see the possibility for a league minimum first baseman who could be a good bat. He has not shown that yet at the major league level. So, if I make a major acquisition in the offseason, I think Pasquantino gets pushed out of first base. And the reason that would be is because either one, I'd bring in a first baseman. I think that's the least likely. I think the two more likely situations are Devers switches to first base and I bring in a DH, or Devers goes to first base, Eloy goes to DH, and I bring in an outfielder. I think if I make a major acquisition, it'll be somebody to play. It'll be a right-handed hitting on-base guy who's right-handed hitting power / on-base guy who's can go in at DH, and Devers goes to first, or goes into left. Eloy goes to DH, Devers goes to first. So I don't see getting rid of Pasquantino in that situation unless there's like a trade that like he's the make or break guy. I'd deal him, but I think it's completely possible he's my starting first baseman against righties. I think I'd probably platoon him. That does push out Dan Vogelbach, who, has been a bit of a cult hero for us here. He was really good in the postseason, but and he does get on base, right? But at 30 years old, he's in arbitration. I think there's a much higher. I think Vogelbach could be like a league average bat for us at first base, who does things that our team doesn't do, namely hitting home runs and walking. But I think there's a much higher ceiling with Pasquantino. So I'm willing to, I think I'm going to deal or non-tender Vogelbach depending on what trades line up, which I know is disappointing, but I think Pasquantino is the higher ceiling and cheaper money play here. JC Correa, he's hit really well in the minors everywhere. He did not hit in the majors yet. I think I think he'll be in the minors to start the year next year, but will be one of the first bats up when we need a bat. Michael Garcia, I think, has the inside track on the utility infield role. He was good in 107 plate appearances. Nick Lofton has the inside track on the second base role. I know he was terrible in the postseason with the 080 average, but he was really good across 327 plate appearances in half a season for us. One of the top prospects in baseball. He's going to get a shot at the second base position. He did win the wild card series MVP, and then he went on to not get a hit in like the following 45 plate appearances or something. Devers is a free agent. I've offered him a contract. So he's a free agent. I've offered him a 7-year, $166.8 million deal, which is what, low 20s per year, right? I think it's like between 22 to 26 million per year. It fluctuates a little. So I'm hoping that he's back. There's risk in it, offering that much money to a defensively limited player on a small market team. But he was one of the best hitters in the league this year. He was a great hitter in 2022. Devers is a really good player, and we'd have a Devers-sized hole in our lineup if we didn't bring him back. So I'm hoping he comes back. Duffy, so his fate kind of depends on our other moves. I could see a situation where Pasquantino is our starting first baseman, but he platoons with Duffy, who's like our starts against lefties, and then gets some at-bats in other positions too. Because Duffy, he walks a decent amount, and he's a good contact hitter. He doesn't strike out a ton. And we're not paying his full salary. We're only paying half the 8.2, so 4.1 million. Now, if we bring in a guy, I think Pasquantino gets pushed to the bench and Duffy's off the roster. Witt's back at third. Nicky Lopez back at short. Eloy, really bad season overall, but was much better later in the year. You can see, he was pretty mediocre through July, and then August 133, WRC plus September 104. So he was a good hitter the last 2 months. He was a great hitter in the postseason. It's hard to find hitters as good as Eloy, even if he's been not great in this sim. So he's back. I don't see moving on from Eloy just yet. Dylan Moore is in arbitration. He missed a lot of this year. His arbitration estimate is $4.2 million. I don't see us paying that. I think he's going to be dealt or he's going to be non-tendered. Mondesi will be our center fielder. Kyle Isbell, I think, just falls victim to the fact that we need a righty bench bat in the outfield, and he's a lefty. He does have an option year left, so I'm not getting rid of him because he's a valuable piece, I think, as a bench player and depth in the minors. I'm sure he'll be pissed about that. Sully Matias did not do enough to lock down a major league role next year. He's a good right-handed power bat when he's going well, but I think he'll be in AAA. Still got 2 option years left. He'll be a call-up if we have an outfield injury. Whit Merrifield is gone. He's a free agent, and he just had an absolutely terrible season at -0.9 WAR. Pavin Smith, I think, will be back as the left fielder. He was really good for us. A 127 WRC plus. He walked a ton, didn't strike out too much. Now, can he keep that walk rate up? Probably not. I'm open to other ideas in right field. I'm open to bringing in an impact player for right field. But as of now, I'd say Pavin Smith is going to be the guy. But I'm open to moving on from him in the right situation. Rotation, Singer will be back healthy and be our number 1 starter. Hopefully, what injury did he have? Partially torn labrum. So shoulder injuries are always iffy, and it's not good that it's his 3rd shoulder injury of the sim. But I'm hopeful that he can regain his form, especially since we signed him to a 4-year, $50 million deal. Lance McCullers will be back. He's under contract for several more years, 3 more years. Hopefully can perform as well as he did for us this season. I see that number 3 starter spot as a bit of a hole right now. I think that'll be addressed through trade or free agency. Angel Zerpa was absolutely great in his 79 innings, considering he was a rookie. He was awesome in the postseason. We're good to go with Angel Zerpa as our number 4 starter. Carlos Hernandez had a pretty rough postseason. We had a couple of rough appearances. He's out of options, but I think he's earned the right to try to have a starting job. You can see I mean, this is real life here. In the sim, he's pitched 125 innings and I mean, 2.91 ERA, 2.41 ERA. FIP has been higher, but he's done it across a lot of innings. He's got a 3.21 ERA across 227 innings, and his FIP is around league average too. So I want to run him out there regularly and see what he can do. At 26, I want to give him a chance. Barlow will be back, I think, in the same role, although maybe I'll put Klein in the stopper role since he has more stamina, although that'll probably bump up Klein's arbitration estimates, so maybe I'll keep it as is. I think Matzik and Klein, and so let me consult my notebook here. What was I thinking? So Barlow, Klein, Matzik, Murphy, Stallmount, I think return as kind of the back five. Now what this leaves open is another two like middle relief guys who will have other secondary roles and a long relief guy. Anybody who's none specified here, not including Zerpa, I don't know why he's down there because he's a follower, but I think all these guys are gone. Garrett's a free agent, Darvish a free agent, Lynch and Kowar are both out of options, and they just haven't carved out a role enough for themselves. They haven't proved enough. Now, might be a lack of opportunity for Lynch. I think that would be fair because he has pitched pretty well. I mean, there's his real life thing, but, he's pitched pretty well in the 35 innings I've given him. Yeah, 2.2 ERA, 3.4 ERA, but I'm just not seeing I'm not seeing holding a roster spot for him with no options. If he had options, I'd be excited about having him back, but I think he's getting pushed out by all these guys. All of these guys are guys that have options and are back next year. Like I said, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 3 open spots in our bullpen here. I think so. Christopher Sanchez is out of options, so I think that he will get a chance because he's pitched very well. I think he deserves a chance, maybe as the long relief guy. So that leaves 2 spots open. I think another one's going to go to Asa Lacy. Asa Lacy pitched really well in AAA with a 3.39 ERA and 3.17 FIP. He's the number 37 prospect in baseball. After 82 innings at AAA, I think he's ready. So I think he's going to pitch out of the bullpen, which leaves 1 spot open. I would say by far the most likely is Seth Martinez, who pitched for us last year and looks pretty good. But he's also 29, so maybe it's time to give a younger guy a role. Nathan Webb maybe deserves a chance. Tommy Romero, Jake Brent, all these guys, John Hazley, Paulino, these guys will all be depth for, last year the 5 guys who started the year in my starting rotation all missed significant time. So you need, all these guys will probably get innings next year. But I would say I might bring in 1 reliever, right? So I have 3 open spots. So say I have 2 middle relief spots and a long relief. Say Sanchez is the long relief, Lacy is a middle reliever, and then that leaves 1 middle relief spot open. What I'd like to do is bring in a relief boss, bring in a really good relief pitcher from free agency, a righty, because Sanchez and Lacy, along with Matzik, will give me 3 lefties. Bring in a righty to pitch in middle relief. But, if I've got to put Seth Martinez there, I'm fine with that. I might end up doing that. So that's kind of how the roster is breaking down. I offered the extension Devers. I do have a trade lined up for Sal Perez that I like. I know a lot of you are saying, no, don't do it. But yes, it's happening. I kept him for 2 more seasons than I wanted to. This basically gives us the Devers money. This basically opens up enough money to re-sign Devers. It comes down to Sal Perez or Rafael Devers. I want to re-sign Devers all day. I'm also going to be giving up this 24-year-old who struggled in AA last year, but the Yankees want, and I'm getting back 2 pitchers that I'm surprised they're willing to give up in this deal. Alfredo Garcia is going to need to be added to the 40-man. Both these guys will. But a 55 stamina, his stuff will go down a little bit if you switch him to a starter. I think he's a AAA starter for me next year. And with this changeup, that fastball, I'm feeling good about him in AAA next year for us. On top of that, Hayden Wisniewski, another guy with a good arm and enough stamina to start. He's listed as a reliever here, so his stuff will go down a little bit likely. But he's got 5 good pitches. He's the number 33 prospect in baseball. He's got 2 option years left. They really want Sal Perez. There were only 3 teams who offered anything even legitimate or at all for him, and the Yankees were by far the most interested. So, look, I know I'm breaking a lot of hearts here, but it's time to press the complete trade button here. Please say your goodbyes to Sal. I'll wait outside. Let me know when you guys are ready. But no, all right, cool. So we're going to make this trade. And I just went through the whole roster and justify why we're making this trade. Look, I know the fans are disappointed. I know the players are disappointed. We're going to take care of all of you, okay? I promise. I think my finish was around 61. It went to 60. Oh, no. So we're going to add Hayden Wisniewski here. And the other dude, oops, I don't know how to delete messages here. It's driving me crazy. I know I said that in an earlier video, but I haven't released it yet as of the time I'm recording this. No, that's the guy who I just added. So Garcia, we'll add him to prospects. And I'll control him. And I want him in AAA. Cool. So yeah, I think from here we've got some arbitration to consider. I've got some offers out to some of these guys, and then I'll try to trade some of the guys I'm in a non-tender, like Moore, Vogelbach, before I non-tender them. Not going to extend a qualifying offer to anyone here, although if Devers ultimately doesn't come back for the deal I've offered him or something similar, I'll obviously QO him, but that'll change the course of our whole offseason if we're not able to bring him back. So that's the plan. Now it's time to get into the weeds of the offseason. Now at the day that free agents file, we did sign Devers to that, 7-year, $166 million deal. Definitely some risk in that deal. When you're a small to mid-market team on a guy who's really like a one-dimensional play. Well, I should say, he doesn't have any defensive value. He's going to be first base or DH. So I think it is risky to spend that much, but he's also been one of the better hitters in baseball, and he's only 27. So I was happy to... I'm always a little hesitant to hand out this kind of deal to that kind of player, but I think Devers is the kind of guy to give that deal to. If anybody, if any non-defensive player, Devers is a good enough hitter. His bat's just got to be great every season. Really for the next several seasons, I need it to be as good as it was last season. So definitely some risk, more risk than I normally put. When the payroll is this small, but hey, we went for it. I did make a couple other small moves. Oops, wrong tab. Oh, geez, that's all that stuff. Let me go back to the beginning of it. So I did the Perez trade. We showed you that. I did trade Vogelbach, which, again, might seem a little backwards because I'm looking for guys with power and who walk, and he does it. But just, he's going to be 31 before opening day, and Pascantino's a lot cheaper, and they're both lefty first basemen who don't really have versatility. I think Vogelbach's good. I think he's a good bat. I don't think he's a great bat. So I took the risk on Pascantino, the younger player who's cheaper. I guess I want a bigger impact bat than I think Vogelbach's going to be if I'm bringing in a bat this offseason. I got Rafael Marchand for him, who is a catcher who's a switch hitter. So which is important because I didn't want a lefty catcher because that's what Melendez is. He had a good season in 111 plate appearances for the Phillies, pretty limited playing time, and he ripped up AAA in the time that he was there. Very small time last year, so he was backing up Real Muto. I think I got some outfielder too. Yeah, this guy Xavier Bussey. He'll be fine. And then I think I made another small trade or two. Yeah, I traded Alexis Diaz, is a guy who I'd claimed off of waivers, who basically I didn't have room for on the 40 man. So I got two guys who are not going to need. I mean, he's a pretty decent looking reliever. Has not gotten a lot of major league time, only about 36 innings over the last 2 years. But Jeremy Orocho is a guy out of Pasadena, Maryland. Shout out Pasadena. So he can play like every position on the field. I mean, he's not going to play shortstop or center field very well. But he's like a super utility guy who's hit the ball well at Double-A. And so I'm going to give him a shot. He's obviously not going to hit for power, but I think he could be like a super utility guy. Getting that kind of guy for a reliever, I'll take it. And I also got Brian Ray, who is kind of an older outfielder. I don't know if there's a ton of value here, but just a right-handed hitting outfield bat, and he was really good in Double-A last year. So I figured I'd take a chance on him. I think that was it in terms of... Yeah, it is. That's it. What does Dylan Moore want out on the market? Because he was going to get like over $4 million in arbitration. Yeah, less than that. So now the question becomes, where do I want to add to the roster? And, if I don't add a big bat, I did have an offense that struggled last year. If I don't add a big bat, it's because of the following. Like, and I'll get this all straightened out at some point. It would be expecting a better year from Eloy, which I think is fair considering how he ended the year. It would be expecting a better year from Nicky Lopez, which I think is also fair. I think 66 WRC plus is a pretty low probability outcome for him. Like the bad end of his kind of possible outcomes for Nicky Lopez. And of course, we'll be thinking Pascantino or Duffy or whoever is playing first base can be better than Sal Perez was there last year. And of course, we're running out Whit Merrifield every day, who put up like a 64 WRC plus. He was between second and right field. So we're thinking there will be an upgrade there. So I basically, I think my offense, it ended up ranked 10th, but it was 15th for a while. So it was much better. And when I say ranked, I mean in terms of runs scored. It was still bad in terms of on base percentage. Home runs wasn't great. But I think we have room for improvement just in what we have. But that doesn't mean I'll bring in a guy. I'd love to bring in a guy. Just like I want to bring in a number 3 starter. But I don't have a ton of money to bring in a huge bat. This says I have $29 million. Of course, this doesn't count the like $14 million between the draft slots and international free agents. So I have around $15 million to sign to make moves. A couple of things I'm considering would be starting pitchers. There are a few guys out here who are reasonable. German Marquez is out here. Absolutely terrible year for him with a 7.48 ERA and a 5.10 FIP. But the BABIP was 371. Some of this is Coors. So I think he's a really good buy low at 4.4 million. I think that would be a good add as our number 3 starter. Ryu is also out here. His stuff sucks, but movement's decent. Control is great. We have a really good defense. He was great for the Angels last year, and he only wants a 1-year deal at about $8 million. Let's see. James Paxton is out here. How's he been? Yeah, I think I definitely prefer the other guys. Let's see. Alex Wood, Tyler Anderson could bring him back. He went to Boston, was pretty good. Chris Archer, Dylan Bundy, but really I think German Marquez might be my main target, and thinking I'll get a bounce back year from him. On the hitting side of things, what I think I would like to bring in, and I think I mentioned this earlier, is a right-handed hitting outfielder who gets on base a lot. And I think that it would kind of be a player who's like not a bench player, but not an everyday player, if that makes sense. A guy who plays several days a week who, if he's on the bench, it's not the end of the world, but also if you have injuries, he can come in and play. And that gives me flexibility. Like, say Pascantino and or Duffy are terrible, and I need a first baseman, I can move Devers to first, I can move Eloy to DH, and I can move this hypothetical outfielder into left field every day. So that's the thought, is adding like a starter like German Marquez, and then a bat. I'd want a guy who can, I think getting on base would be primary, hopefully with some power, but a guy who can get on base. I don't think we're going to dance in these waters up here or swim in these waters, dance on these floors of these salaries here. But, a guy like Robbie Grossman at $6 million. Now he's 34. He's coming off a really down year, but he still walked in almost 15% of his plate appearances. His BABIP was super low. I would only sign him to a 1-year deal and hope that I could get him for like $5 million. Maybe I'd give him a team option on the second year, but starting lineup guarantee, I don't know about that, but he's the type of player, I think. Randall Grichuk, he doesn't really walk enough, but what about Benintendi? Is he walking much these days? No. So that's kind of the way that I'm looking. I could bring back old friend JD Martinez, who at 36 still had a good year last year. The one exception to all of this, and I would say like Winker, I would go after, but he's a lefty. I don't need another lefty bat. I've got enough of those. That's a lot of money for a 30-year-old Winker. The one thing that could possibly blow up these plans and that I'd splurge for is Shohei Ohtani, because he's out there and he's 29. He won't be 30 till July. I wonder why I can't see his set as pitcher here. He's been quite good at the plate in this sim. You can see he's been quite good as a pitcher. ERA and FIP both better than the league average. And he's only looking at a 7-year, $24 million deal, which, maybe there'll be a bidding war since it is Ohtani. But, like, I was thinking, like, man, if I can get him for 5 or 6 years for, like, $22 million a year or something like that, I could make that work. And I might have to shuffle some things around if I do that. Now, he's a lefty bat, so I think at that point he comes in and replaces Pavin Smith, and I get rid of Smith somehow, or keep him on the bench, I guess. No, I don't think I would. So I think he's just kind of like, I was kind of showing you like how all those puzzle pieces could fit together of all those guys I could bring in. Ohtani's not like a puzzle piece that fits. He's just like a star who could be like a number 1 or 2 starter for me and a thumper in the middle of my lineup, and all for $24 million for the price of one player. So I'm thinking about that. And plus it's Ohtani. It's just fun. So that would be the one move that would kind of blow up all of my plans. I think at that point I'd still bring in Marquez, and honestly I might, Lance McCullers was great for me, but he's making a lot of money. $17 million over the next 3 years. I would have to free up some money if I brought in Ohtani. I have the money to do it, but it would get rid of any flexibility. So, like, I'm just curious, like, if I kick this off with like a 5-year, let's pay you more in the earlier years while Witt and Melendez stay a little cheaper. Like, let's even like pay you 25, and then let's do it this way. But then let's start to bring it down here. So this would be a 5-year, $22.8 million per year deal where he's seeking 7 years, 24. Probably could bring this down even a little more. So this would be 5 years, $22 million, $110 million. Now, if he's stuck on the term, he's not going to go for this at all. But maybe I can get him down to 6 years. He brought his average annual salary, his AAV, down in the ballpark of what I was offering. I wonder if he'd go for 6 years. And so this would be 6 years, 21.4. He just asked me for 7 years, 22.8. I think that's like, let's take it down to 21.1. Let's see what he says. Oh, now he's stuck on the 7. He just took his ask back up. Let me see. Would you be willing to do like a team option? Here, let's check this out. Let's do a team option with a decent buyout. Let me just like reset this here. So, and let me just use that as a base. So let's go 24, and then start bringing it down a bit. So we're giving him the 7 years here. 21.4. He at one point was down to 22. So I don't want to piss him off with like a 2 level. So this would be 7 years, 21 million per. Which again, like it's really expensive for the Royals, especially because I do have Devers, and then I have Whit and Melendez coming up to arbitration soon. A lot of other guys are signed, like Singer, Mondesi, Lopez. I think I would have to deal Lance McCullers or get creative other ways, probably McCullers, if I were to do this. But again, I'd prefer Ohtani over McCullers for sure. And again, the reason I have this money earlier on, like the 5 million and 4 million more than this 20 and then 18, is because Whit and Melendez are going to get more expensive as this goes on. Now, I might be hamstringing myself between, I'm going to have Ohtani and Devers like in their 30s making 20 some million per year each. Might be regretting that. But let's see what he says to a team option as the 7th year. Nah, it's not down with the team option. And he looks like he's about to break off negotiations if I don't get serious with him here. So 23.6. I mean, that's a reasonable ask, honestly. Like, he's an elite hitter and a really good starter for the last 2 years in this game. What if I just offered you 7 years straight up 22? Let's even... Oops, no, that's not what I was trying to do. So. All right, so oops. He's asking for 7 years, 23.6. I mean, 7 years, 22.2. Like, I mean, if he breaks it off over this, like, you know, so be it, man. Like, oh well. All right. So he's going to consider that offer of 7 years, 155.5 million. The Royals once again swimming in the deep end here in free agency. I do want to I still want to make that offer to Marquez if I have enough money. I know how to fix it if I don't. I do want to make an offer to him though. What's the max contract I'm allowed? Okay, I'm okay. Let's just take it down a bit though. Okay, cool. So I'm still gonna try to bring in Marquez. I don't know, I don't know what will happen with Ohtani. I doubt he's just gonna sign all of a sudden. But we'll figure out the salary stuff if and when he signs. But so that's plan A. Try to go get Ohtani. Marquez is like a guy I'm trying to get. Then plan B would go get like a Grossman and somebody else. I've considered the trade market, trying to bring in like a superstar, the trade, and I still could. But I don't think there's nothing doing right now. I was looking around for trades, and there's nothing really that was interesting to me right now. I did take a look at Joey Gallo again. He invoked his no trade clause. He wasn't interested in coming here, which is fitting since he, burned us last offseason. But all right, I will hop ahead a little bit here and update you guys, see if we can land the big fish in Ohtani. We did it. We landed Ohtani. After free agency heartbreak in Kansas City, no one wanting to come here last offseason. This offseason is different. We've landed a big fish. We've swum. We've swum in those waters. Swam. So I think it was the 7 year 155 when we left off. So ended up getting him at 7 years, 162.5 million. You can see the breakdown. 23, and then it goes up to 25, and then it slowly comes back down, and it's 21.2 in the final year. MVPs get 1.3 bonus. He gets an all-star bonus. There is not a no trade clause, which is good. I think we just got an absolute stud who's only 29. We've got a few years of very good baseball left, and I'm hopeful that he'll remain very productive throughout his deal, although there was certainly some risk, especially for the kind of budget we have. There he is as a hitter. He's just a beast. I mean, look at these numbers. 165 WRC plus in 2022. Last year, a bit of a down year at 123. Was hurt, but certainly... a bit of a down year for him, and he only played 114 games. He started 27 games. He had a 3.58 ERA, 3.74 FIP, both better than league average. And here he is as a pitcher. Pretty good stuff, fine movement, fine control, great fastball, and then some other really good pitches too. His strikeouts were down and his walks were up a little bit. Home runs were down. So he's coming off a good year, but not like a peak year, not like a career year. 2022, he was just a monster, but we probably wouldn't have been able to afford him if he'd put up another year like that. So Ohtani is here. So like I said, then we were going to have to cut some payroll. So I've started doing that. I traded Pavin Smith because Pavin Smith was a left-handed hitting right fielder and first baseman. We just signed Ohtani, who's a left-handed hitting right fielder. And first base, we already have some dudes there. So we traded Pavin Smith, and we got Brent Rooker and Cash. Now, why did we bring in Brent Rooker? Well, he's a right-handed hitting first baseman, and he might not hit well, right? But, I mean, last year, he... Wait, I had Brent Rooker in 2022? I don't even remember that. I don't remember that at all. Are you sure? All right. Anyways, okay. I had Brent Rooker in 2022. It all runs together. So last year he put up a 152 WRC plus in Nashville. I assume that's Nashville in AAA, and then a 213 in just 39 plate appearances in the major leagues. Did I trade him? No, I released him. I released him before the beginning of last season. That's so interesting. But anyways, this was about dumping payroll. We got almost $2 million in cash, and we got rid of we picked up basically like $4.6 million in budget space. And what bringing in a righty first baseman does is it allows us to move Matt Duffy, who's like almost a $5 million salary. And we also got a $900,000 in cash. We brought in minor league outfielder Carlos Rodriguez, who honestly looks like he could be a pretty good player. He played in high A, double A, and triple A last year. He was excellent at every level. He walks a lot. He's a lefty bat, and he's not on the 40-man yet either. I don't think. Maybe he is. So what that does is that then brings us to $15 million in space. But now remember, like, we need like 13 of that for draft slots, international free agents. So still thinking of trading Lance McCullers. This is an awesome top three. I'm just not sure it's a top three that we can afford. I mean, we could. Like, I could just scrape pennies. I could lower the development and scouting budget a little bit. Try to move out a couple other salaries of a couple million here or there. But this really doesn't give us much wiggle room, although we'll probably go under slot at the draft. I generally, I've tended to do that just because those are the players I wanted, and I could find players I wanted under slot. So I could always do it that way and keep McCullers and justify it that way. But, just with where the salaries are headed on this team, we've locked into 2 long-term deals, big money deals as the Royals. So this third one is just kind of scary to me. And it's like, it's great to have 3 top flight starters in Ohtani, Singer, and McCullers, especially with Singer coming off an injury. McCullers was great for us last year when he came in, but, Bobby Witt's about to hit arbitration. Melendez is about to hit arbitration. Yeah, I mean, Nicky Lopez is going to get more expensive. So is Mondesi. So is Eloy. We got Singer locked in. So I don't know. I'm just thinking that maybe it's time to move on from Lance McCullers in order to free up a bunch of payroll space. not just for this year, but for next year too. You can see, we're at 123 and our payroll in 2026 is at 164 million. Right now I think our payroll can come in at about 130 million, if we're being honest with like what we need to spend on the draft and all that. So, right now our payroll is 123 million, and we basically have no money once you factor in the draft and all that. So, if you figure, we can spend 130 million maybe max per year, and in 2 years we're looking at spending 164 million, I'm going to have no money to do anything. And, now Eloy's will come off the books, right? I doubt I'll pick up a $18.5 million team option on Eloy unless he just becomes an all-world player again. Maybe Mondesi will opt out. I can do other things, but I think because McCullers has value now, it makes sense to move him, not just for this year, but for money going forward. It's tough as the Royals to have this many players making, double-digit millions, right? Over 10 million or more. We have several of them. And we've got our 2-star hitters, 2-star young players coming for arbitration. And no, I'm not going to sign them to extensions. You can see here, actually his might still be weird. No, so he wants 10 years, 22 million, which seems fair, but these are his arbitration years, and all of them are over the estimate of what he would get. And then 26.4 million. Yeah, that's probably cheaper than he could get in free agency if he's an absolute superstar. I think Correa got between 35 and 40, so it probably is a discount. But I don't know. I just don't feel all that inclined to sign this. I think in another year or two, I'll still be able to get him for this amount of money in free agent years. So I'm not doing it yet. And Melendez, it's the same thing, although I offered him an extension and then he came back with some really weird proposal. Okay, it's back to normal. Yeah, so he's projected for basically 4, 7, 10, and 13. 4, 7, 10, and 13. So 4, 7, 10, 13. So in this 13, he's like crazy over on his arbitration, and I don't know. MJ Melendez is good, but I don't know if he's 28 million good. So I think I'm paying more in arbitration, and I'm overpaying the free agent years. There's no way I'm extending him right now. Just not a chance. He's been very good. But I'm not spending that amount of money on him. Bobby Witt, I think, is a franchise type player. I would spend that money on Bobby Witt. I just don't think it's the time to do it. So I started looking around at a couple deals. So one thing is I have a bit of a log jam on the 40-man and at AAA on lefty outfielders. So I shopped around Kyle Isbell, who has been totally fine for me as a backup. He's a totally solid fifth outfielder. He can play all three positions. He's a lefty bat. He's an adequate bat. But this name came up, and I'm really intrigued. He's got 50 stamina. Now, this control is a problem, right? He walked 6.4 guys per 9 in 35 innings in Colorado. But, dude, this stuff and these pitches on Jorge Juan, who is he? How is he? It was an international free agent by Oakland. So it looks like in real life he's an Oakland prospect. He pitched in Double-A last year and walked 6.5 guys per 9. The control is an issue. But I think this is the kind of guy I'd love to take a chance on. Will they retain? Can they afford to retain any of his salary? Okay, so I'll even gain $105,000 in budget space. I think this is a no-brainer. I love this guy's arm. Isbell's kind of, he's solid. I'm sure he'll go on to be fine for Colorado, be a fine third, fourth outfielder on an average team. If Colorado's average, I don't know. So I just want to look at something there, make sure this mic level right. I'm not going to edit this out. All right, cool. I think we're okay. So yeah, I think this is a deal I want to do. Yeah, let's do that. All right, we're done. So I'm curious where John Gibbons would see Jorge Juan pitching. Well, he's not all that impressed with them. Long reliever. So he might not make my team. He's got a couple option years left, I think. Yeah, 2 option years left. But I think this arm is awesome. I'm into it, dude. So now the next thing becomes McCullers. I haven't found a deal that I love. I went to Tampa, and that was not the deal. And basically, so Luis Patino is an interesting guy. I could gain $13 million in budget room, and I'm also getting rid of McCullers' contract the last 2 years, all but 10%. They want me, which is fine. I think Patino is a really interesting arm. The extreme fly ball is very worrying, but in Kansas City, it worries you a little less. His strikeout to walk ratio isn't great. He had a really good 2022 for them in just 19 starts, but he put up 2.4 WAR and 4 R WAR, a 2.51 ERA, and then he struggled last year. 4.84 ERA, a 4.43 FIP. His SIERA was a bit better, but his walks were up a bit. His home run rate was way up, but he's quite cheap. I mean, he's at $1.3 million. Arbitration estimate next year, $1.7 million. And I think at worst, you're looking at a really effective reliever if he can't hack it as a starter. Like as a long man, I think he would crush it. And long men throw a lot of innings depending on how you structure your bullpen. So, I mean, sometimes in my bullpens, like the stopper and the long man get like 100-ish innings each. So it's like a starter light, right? LITE. So it's interesting to me. And they want this prospect who I'm fine giving up. Like his control, he's 23 and he was just in A-ball and rookie ball last year. I don't have a lot of faith in his control developing. I'm fine putting him in as a throw. And then because I was willing to put in Joe Charles, they were willing to put in this guy, Ryan Kreidler, who I think looks like an interesting enough possible utility infielder guy, right-handed bat. How many options does he have left? 2 options left, yeah. He hit well in Detroit in 2022 and then did badly in Tampa. He's been all over the place. He was pretty good in AAA last year, and he had very limited exposure. But this is through the Shop a Player tool. This is the best that I found. I think kind of what I want to do is like go to the MLB player list and like go to starters and like, just kind of like go down some guys and just see if there's somebody out there who people want to get rid of, right? Because they're on a bad salary, whatever. Glasnow is interesting, man. He's really good, and he's not asking for an insane amount of money. He just wants a long deal. Oh, he's down to 6 years now. I want to say it was like 7 or 8 at first. Really reasonable salary range, but I don't want to give him 6 years. He did not have a good year last year for Tampa. He had a great year the year before. I'd offer him a 1-year deal if I can get rid of McCullers. I'm sure he'd be insulted, but is Gratterall a starter now? Oh, wow, and a really good one. Holy crap. Yeah. Wait, did they sign him to a long-term deal? Oh, they did. Cool. So, yeah, I don't know. See what Aaron Nola's up to. I mean, it would have to be somebody who's not making a ton of money, right? Which is going to be hard. I don't think you're going to get, you're not going to get Grayson Rodriguez. What's Urias making now? He's signed a big deal. Woodruff, I'm sure, is super expensive. Yeah, $17 million, a long-term deal. So Shane Baz, I'm sure, is a guy they're not giving up. Actually, he hasn't established himself that well yet. So, yeah, I'm kind of going to poke around and see if there's another guy I can save money on and bring in. But I think that Patino deal is pretty decent because I think he could be a third starter for me. And I think I'd also then go and try to sign a cheaper guy on a shorter deal than McCullers was on. So I think I'd come out ahead. I think it would be a definite win. Is Ian Anderson making a lot of money yet? They already signed him. No, he's done a very reasonable deal. Is he good? Oh, he was great. They're not going to trade him. He was great last year. Let's just see what they say. If I'm like, I will offer you Lance McCullers for this fella. Fat chance, yeah. I love when there's nobody who would make it work. Like if I gave them Bobby Witt, they wouldn't do it apparently. So yeah, I don't know. The more and more like I'm looking through this list, the more I think Patino might be the move. If he could return to that 2022 form, like that would be a really good deal for us to cut that amount of money and still have that quality of a pitcher. The game still believes in Trevor Rogers, who's making a decent amount of money now, but not nearly as much as McCullers. His FIP has not been great, but his ERA has been much better. He's a neutral. He's got 3 really good pitches. Really good pitches. Oh, they can't even come close to affording that. Never mind. I understand. So yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna mess around some, poke around. I'll see if I can pull off a trade for McCullers and then figure out the rest of the squad from there. I haven't signed other guys yet because I was waiting on the Ohtani fallout, and then I was in negotiations with German Marquez, but ended up withdrawing my offer when Ohtani signed. So I'll fiddle around here and see what we can do. So little bit, Luis Patino, whose name I could not say there, is now a Royal. We made the deal. Ended up adding a bunch of guys to the deal. So we got rid of McCullers and his $17 million salary. He's really good, man. It's a little hard to get rid of him. But Joe Charles, who I don't see as a contributor to our Major League roster, and Gabe Hughes, who, same thing, he's 24, and he just really struggled in high A. And we brought in Patino, this fella, Alexander Ovales, who was most excellent in high A last year with a 139 WRC plus. I don't know where he'll start the year. He's a lefty outfield bat, which I probably have too much of, but they were willing to give him to me, so I'll take him. And this guy, Creedler, that I showed you, the kind of utility infitter, he'll probably be in AAA. I don't think he'll make my team, but he's good depth. And then this guy, Colby White, another guy who will be in the minor league system. I think this is a really good bullpen arm to add to the system. So with all that done, we've got $31 million. So we've really got like $15 million to mess around with. I think, I could bump the scouting and development budget up some, go all small market. I might dip my toes back in the free agent waters. I rescinded offers from a couple guys, so some guys aren't going to want to talk to me. But I don't know if Ryu is still out there. I haven't looked at that in a while. Yeah, there he is. Ryu is out there. He still wants $8 million. Man, that 35 stuff is just worrying. But he's been good during the sim. 4 WAR and then 2.9 WAR. His stuff, my scout saw him as a 35 stuff guy all year. I don't know. I think he might be an adequate guy to just throw into the middle of the rotation and eat some innings, especially if Patino fails. Yeah, I don't know. There are other guys that are kind of in this range and cheap though too, like Tyler Anderson. I could bring him back. He was really good with, or not really good. He was fine with Boston, and he's only $1.9 million. So I could see myself making a move like that. I mean, honestly, if Glasnow signed a 1-year deal, I'd obviously do that in a heartbeat because he looks like a freaking stud. Let's see, what would he do if I was just like, hey man, I'll give you this money. I'll give you exactly what you're asking for, but it's going to be 1 year, and I'll give you a second year to make you think I might pick it up. I probably would pick it up. He's just going to say F off, right? Yeah, so he's willing to go down to a 5-year deal. What if I gave you a 2-year deal? What if I did the player option at the end? What do you think? You think I'll do it? I mean, this is still $5 million cheaper than McCullers and a year shorter, and I think he's a better pitcher. Basically offering a 1-year, $16 million deal. Oh, wow. he's going to consider that. I did not expect that to happen. Thank you, McAfee. Please go away. I'm quite surprised by that. I think he's a better pitcher than McCullers. He's cheaper, and he's also a year shorter and in contract length, and really 2 years shorter if I want it to be. And I have Luis Patino now too, and a couple of prospects. So let's just see if he gets back to us quickly or not. Might be one of those things where he just makes us wait because we offered him a 1-year deal with an option. I can't believe he even, I'm shocked that he even looked at that. So the preseason begins tomorrow. Okay, so he got back to us. What did he say? Yeah, he's basically like, get out of here. He went down to a 4-year deal. I honestly think this is a really good deal, but I don't know, man. I just don't want to tie it up in a 30-year-old starter with the deals I've handed out. I think he's clearly worth this. This is a little bit higher AAV than I gave him last time. So let me see if he'll do this. Nah. All right. Yeah, I don't think that's going to work out. Who's interested in coming back? Oh, Robbie Grossman. No, man, I'm good. Oh, I thought maybe my guy would bump up the I thought maybe John Sherman would bump up the payroll since I freaking signed Ohtani, but he did not do that. Yeah, it's only going up by $8 million, and our payroll's $40 million more in those years. Although I guess it's only $30 million more in those years right now. Yeah, now it's 165. Is that what it was before? I feel like that's really close to what it was before. Must have been 170 or something. I don't know. I can't remember. I'm sure you guys do. Yeah. Okay. So that's really interesting that Glass now is so cheap. I mean, I'll keep an eye on it. Sometimes, yeah, see, it has no teams rumored as interested. Sometimes guys will, if it gets to preseason, especially spring training, they will come way down in their asking. So maybe I'm going to keep an eye on him, man. Sixto Sanchez got dealt for a bunch of guys. Okay, good for you, Sixto. Yeah, he was really good last year. What did they give up for him? He was really good last year. It's a decent prospect. Decent. Okay, so they got 3 decent prospects for him and some probably payroll flexibility, I guess. All right, so yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on Glass now. I'm going to go back and just I got to go back and square it at, square one again and just kind of figure out, okay, this is what the team looks like after all these moves, and kind of just make sure that I don't want to make other depth moves, etc. But Eloy is here. Patino is here. Yeah, certainly I could see adding another starter and pushing Hernandez to the bullpen as the long man. I could see doing that for sure. But I'll have to figure out who that is and if I want to spend the money. Certainly, like I said, keep an eye on Glass now for sure. And I might go back to Marquez if he decides to come back to the table, although I rescinded the offer. Ryu is also a possibility. So I'll see what comes of it. All right, so I'm up to March 21st now. A few things have changed. I'll catch you up on a few trades that I made, a signing. So we left off in January, and this week I'll cover the McCullers trade. February, I made a few trades. Honestly, I don't know if I love the trades looking back. I was playing last night and made them, and now I'm like, but whatever, I did it. So I signed Jerkson Profar because I basically feel like I needed a right-handed hitting bat who could play the outfield, and he's a switch, and he does hit better from the left side, but nonetheless he can play a bunch of positions, right? If Pascantino falters, if Lofton falters, he's back up there, but his primary, he'll be a super utility guy to start, and he can hit right-handed. So that was And he only wanted a 1 year deal, 1 year, $6 million. He's going to miss the beginning of the season because he has a strain back, but also like he walks a lot, which our team, as we've discussed, does not do. And he's been about a league average hitter. So if you can be a super utility guy who walks a lot and is league average, I'll take you on a 1 year deal. So Profar's aboard. Then I really had a logjam of pitchers in AAA, which why I made this trade, and probably why this second trade I made makes no sense, but hey, it's done. So I traded John Heasley, who had pitched some for me in 2022 and 23, and was fine and was good in AAA, but he was 27, and I just had a bunch of younger arms who had kind of bypassed him on the depth chart. And I also traded this pitcher who they wanted, who I was fine giving up. And I got Cavan Biggio. Now, Cavan Biggio is another left-handed bat. So why did I get him? Because I already have too many of those. He can play every position. He walks a whole lot. 16% walk rate last year between AAA and the majors. He's got option years left. He was really good for the Blue Jays in just 34 games last year. Now his BABIP was 120 points higher than the year before, but again, I think this is just about depth, and I think it's Pasquantino insurance. I think it's Lofton insurance. It's a really good depth piece, I think, and honestly, he might beat Pasquantino for the first base job to start the season. I think they'll both. Pasquantino and Biggio will be on the roster to start because Profar will start the year on the IL. But that's I don't know. So basically, I didn't have any. What am I trying to say? I didn't have any great offers for Heasley. I couldn't get any prospects for him, and I feel like this was a major league piece who might be redundant, but I think he's also potentially an upgrade. So that's why I went for Biggio. And the pieces that he's redundant with, like Pasquantino, who's a lefty first baseman, which Biggio is capable of doing. They both have option years. Second base, he's a lefty, so I doubt he'd replace Lofton, but they both have option years. He can play all three outfield positions, and he's a leader, he's a captain, so that's what led to Cavan Biggio coming. The second trade I made, I traded one of my top young pitching prospects, Frank Masicato, who's been like a top 200 prospect, not really top 100. He got absolutely demolished in A-ball last year. No, he was just he turned 20 during the season. He's been asked for in many trades, and I decided to shop him around and see what I could get. This guy's a nothing throw-in. And I really liked 22-year-old Mo Hampton. Now, did I need to make this trade? No. I probably should have kept the 20-year-old starter who, looks like he could develop into something over, the 22-year-old guy who can play a Gold Glove center field for you, and his bat might be good enough. Last year in high A, he had a 104 WRC plus. Then in double A, he had a 160 WRC plus. Of course, his BABIP was absurd. But I just kind of love players like this, center fielders with a good enough bat, a great glove, and the big thing is he's a righty bat. All my outfield prospects coming up, almost all of them are lefties. So that's what basically, when I saw he was a righty, I got offered some great prospects for Masicato that were lefty hitting prospects. And when Hampton came up and he was a righty and he could play Major League center field right now, that's when I went with it. Potentially plus power as a fly ball pull hitter who can play Gold Glove. I don't know. I went out on a limb here. I regret the deal a little bit because Masicato, I don't have enough young pitching prospects. Like I said, I have a logjam of okay enough upper minors pitching prospects. And I added to that in this trade because that's all they were really willing to give me. Luis Amaya is a 25-year-old who looks like he'd be fine as a long man out of your bullpen if you needed him. Augie Silk, I think, is even better possibly, and he has the 60 stamina. He'll start the year in AAA. He's got a great slider and two other decent pitches. I think he could contribute to the Major League team. I'd say he was probably the second guy I was most excited about as a left-handed starter. And then I got a reliever. I think Haas is a reliever. Yeah. Eric Haas, who pitched in high A last year. It looks like that's where my assistant GM has him. But 2++ pitches here and good stuff. So I think he could be a bullpen piece in a year or two. So I think I might regret giving up Masicato, but I feel like Hampton's like a home run play here. Like, he could bust out, but he could be like an all-star center fielder for me for several years. So we'll see. And he's gotten better. His current ability's gotten a bit better, and he's also improved his eye potential a little. So yeah, that's where we're at. So Luke Murphy is a major injury out of our bullpen. He's going to miss basically the whole season, 5 to 6 months. So that's a major bummer. Let me see. So I started optioning some guys. Blah blah blah. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. So, So that's where the team stands. You know, I think like running down the depth chart, and I'll cover this in the next episode at opening day. You know, I think we got Melendez and then Biggio or Pascantino. They'll probably both make it. Not sure who the long-term guy would be. You know, Lofton, Witt, Lopez, Eloy, Mondesi, Ohtani, Devers. Like, no surprises there. We'll see who makes the bench roles. And then pitching side of things, you know, I think our rotation will probably be the top 5 here. I don't know why Zerpa isn't getting any. Oh, I think it's because, like, I had him as a follower on accident. I didn't have an opener, and I didn't realize it. That's what happened. I forgot about that. Let's get him the next start. So let's go strict. Cool. I think that'll work. So I think, and I think Marsh will be a bullpen piece. Now, remember, Alec Marsh pitched really well for me in 2022. Well, I guess not really well. I guess that's an overstatement. But he pitched 54 solid innings as a rookie. His FIP and SIERA were much better than his ERA, as you can see. And then in 2023, he got bombed to start the season in 9 starts. So I sent him down, and then he got hurt, and he missed the rest of the year. But I think that he's potentially still a really good piece for us. He'll be a long man. Barlow, Matzik, Klein, Stallmount will be in. Sanchez will make the team. Lacey will make the team. I've got 2 spots left, and I think one is definitely going to go to Jorge Juan. 15.3 strikeouts per 9, a .9 ERA in 10 innings, and with these ratings. So, of course, he's a guy I got from Colorado for who again? Kyle Isbell, right? So, yeah, I'm excited about him. And then I don't know who'll get the last roster spot yet. Probably not McKinley Moore, the legend, but somebody. Maybe Seth Martinez, I think. He's pitched some innings for me before. So that'll do it for the off-season episode. Next episode, I'll come back with the opening day, and then we'll go into the season, of course. But these are basically this is basically your team here. Pretty good team, I think. Pretty good upgrades over the off-season. So thank you for watching, and we will get to opening day 2024 in the next episode.